Greetings. I'm Rosalind Parks, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of National Network View News. Wanda Cooper Jones is the mother of Ahmaud Arbery. She was committed to getting justice for her son. Even when officials refused to file any charges, she remained resolute. Thanks to her strength and resilience, the three white men who committed murder were all found guilty and faced mandatory life sentences. Joining us to discuss this is NNV Global View contributor and Final Call News staff writer for the Brian E. Muhammad. Greetings, sir.
Greetings, Sister Rosalind.
Yes, sir. Brother Brian, the conviction of the two McMichaels and William Bryan is one of the rare outcomes of these cases where a young man is killed by a white man. Do you think this will quell or embolden further attempts on the lives of Black people in this nation?
Well, it won't quell it. I think we're at a time now where Black people and brown people, we're being forced into a position of self-determination. We're being forced in a position to do something for ourselves and the future of ourselves. So, I believe that God himself is unleashing the Caucasian on our people. This mask of civility, as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan put it, has been stripped off of them. And they are committing open season on our lives. And so this was one of the more drastic cases. This, what some people want to call it, a modern day lynching of Ahmaud Arbery. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's rare that these Caucasians are going to jail for what they did. But, we're living in a climate in the country right now where those are just three. Meanwhile, just a few days earlier, they acquitted Kyle Rittenhouse, who carried an AK-47 or whatever the kind of weapon it was to a protest that was dealing with the police shooting and wounding for life a Black mm-hmm. man. Mm-hmm. So in one sense, they want to give justice in this case, which they should have done. But on the other side of that, they have somebody who the white right and all of these white supremacist groups or what have you is lauding as a hero for getting off and for taking a gun down there to harm people protesting the shooting of a Black man. So I don't think it will quell at all. I think that we're at a time where this will be on the increase. But the question is to Black people, what are we going to do? Because we cannot go to sleep because they put three Caucasians rightly in jail. Right. Meanwhile, hundreds of cases, where they get off. So we shouldn't be in a jubilee kind of way. Mm-hmm. We should be very watchful.
Yes, sir. And Wanda Cooper Jones filed a civil suit against not just her son's killers, but several others involved in the cover-up, including the former district attorney, Jackie Johnson. Johnson was arrested in August for stopping two police officers from arresting the McMichaels for Ahmaud Arbery's killing. Do you think the others involved will face similar fates now that they've been exposed?
It remains to be seen. Mm. See, the pressure that was put on to bring this case to justice was the resilience of this beautiful mother of Ahmaud Arbery. And those activists who stayed the course, who stayed on the case and placed pressure on that little town in Georgia. Georgia, in my research of doing this article, I found out that Georgia is only second to Mississippi in the amount of lynchings that took place in the quote unquote lynching heyday between the late 1800s and 1950. right? But now that's just up to that point. But now we're talking about lynchings and violations of Black life that took place after that, right until today, as we see. Remember, the Arbery case, this took place in February of 2020.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It took them 74 days to even bring them to justice because of this corrupt system, this
Mm-hmm.
old boy network down there in that part of Georgia that kept those people out of jail. See? And so it took pressure, tremendous pressure to bring this to bear. Meanwhile, that same year, remember, George Floyd was killed
Yes.
in May, I think, of that year. Breonna Taylor
Yes.
that year, others that year. So
Mm-hmm.
people took to the streets, but they didn't just take to the streets because, you know, it took tremendous pressure and people are tired. So I don't know whether or not others are going to meet the fate that this former DA is meeting right now. Again,
Mm-hmm.
we're living at a time where Black people cannot afford to go to sleep. So I don't believe that God himself is going to necessarily allow us to go to sleep because of these seemingly victories that
Right.
are coming about.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to continue, and these attacks are going to get worse, but again, it remains to be seen how they act, and it will
Right.
remain to be seen how we act.
That's right. Yes, sir. Now, the outcome of this trial is in direct contrast to the recent trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, as you mentioned just a few moments ago. Is there a defining distinction that made these outcomes so opposed to one another?
Well, yes, that again, the in the Rittenhouse case, you're dealing with a young white boy who went down to a protest that people were in the streets over the dissatisfaction with how the police totally mishandled the shooting of a young Black father, there in that city.
Mhm.
All right. So they let him off the hook and he became a hero. He became a hero again to these people who have shown the propensity to support these type of attacks. You know, there is a major difference in the cases. You know, these three white men who are now going to jail, they set out to do a lynching.
Mhm.
They set out, and it was nothing but racial profiling why they even targeted Ahmaud Arbery. If we listen to the recording of the actual trial, and when it was asked, well, what did he threaten you with a gun? Did he threaten you in any way?
Right.
And the person who took the stand, the younger McMichaels, he had to say no. And then you hear the father. You hear Greg McMichael's 911 call. The only thing that he said to them was, "There's a Black man running down the street."
Mhm.
That not that he witnessed the crime, not
Right.
that And so, yeah, it's a major difference in these cases. Major difference.
Mm. Now, Black America is starting to rise and unite, and you mentioned that just a moment ago as well, to build a nation of its own. So, while modern technology has played a big role in part of the outcome of this trial, has the newfound unity in the Black community also helped to secure this victory?
Um, I don't know if I would say a newfound
Mm.
unity. There were very dedicated, persistent activists. And again, the resilience of this family. even when you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, which unfortunately, there is contradictions, because what they do is they will say Black Lives Matter. Corporate America will come in behind that, and they will even fund you in your Black Lives Matter message.
Yes.
And then it gets diluted to, well, all lives matter. Well, damn it, we know all lives matter. Who said all lives didn't matter? But the question is, does it matter to you, white people? See, it only matters. All lives only matter when it's Black and brown people that's rising up. All of a sudden, let's be this all-inclusive reality. And then everybody gets, all the different interest groups get justice on the backs of the suffering and the sacrifice of activists that really was fighting for a legitimate cause of Black and brown people being oppressed in this country.
Right.
Look at the civil rights movement. Look at how the white women's movement benefited. Look at how the homosexuals as a movement benefited from the civil rights that Black people fought for to get justice for themselves. Look at how white supremacy plays out in these respective groups in and of themselves. Because if you go to each one of these groups, whether it's the women's movement or other movements, it's the whites among it that want to run it.
Yes.
I'm just, and again, I'm not trying to say that, that people shouldn't be together, but the unity of Black is still formulating itself. And I'm bringing up the Black Lives Movement only because over the last several years it has become so prominent.
Yes.
But the contradictions that's in that because of the corporate buyout. See, and that's where we have to be very careful, because there is a legitimate need for funding. There's a legitimate need because, beyond popular belief, liberation, freedom, it's expensive.
Yes.
And it's not free. So they come in with the need, but they come in so that they can now control the narrative. So, we have to be very careful with that. So with all of the technology, with all of the various things at our disposal, we should use all of that. Right. But we have to protect the integrity and the messaging, and so that it doesn't become where we shed our blood to be free, only to see everybody walk in the door right past us while we lay wounded in front the door.
Right.
No. So we have a lot of, but I'm gonna tell you like this, Sister Rosalind.
Yes, sir.
We are going to unite. The white people whose hostility is so deep that they think it's open season on us, that is going to be the winds of adversity, like the dry bones in the valley written in the Bible. It was the winds of adversity that brought the dry bones together. And that's what's going to happen with us as a people. That's going to force the unity.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, yes, sir, I do agree that much adversity is what will finally cause us to unify. You're correct.
Yeah.
Brother Brian, thank you as always for your insight this week, and I look forward to speaking with you again next week on NNV News.
Likewise. Thank you, Sister Rosalind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today and tuning into National Network View News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Rosalind Parks with National Network View News. Good night.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating His children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you are not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.